Hi, everyone. Thank you so much to all of our attendees and speakers today. We've had a fabulous lineup, and we're seeing tons and tons of engagement across all platforms. If you left a question and we weren't able to get to your question, you will hear from us separately via social or email. And if you have any questions for any of our speakers or for us, you can find information about how to contact all of us in the recorded presentations. These presentations will be made available only for another couple of hours. And then after that, we're going to close them off to the public. And if you'd like recorded versions of these presentations after that, you can go to the Summit website and get an all access pass. And you'll have lifetime access to all of the presentations, as well as the extra bonus materials. So our very last presentation is mine. So I will start that in a minute, but just a couple of other things. Wanted to let everyone know that if you have any questions about any of the things that we've talked about today, you can schedule a free 15-minute consult with me or one of the members of my team on the Flair website, which is www.flairinteractive.com. You can do that really pretty much anytime. No cost, no obligation. We're not going to try to sell you anything. We really just want to help you all get through these incredible challenges that all businesses are facing right now with COVID. So that said, we will start the next presentation now. Hey everybody, Lisa Kirschner with Flair Interactive again. Is your head spinning yet? I hope you've had a great day here at the Summit. Hoping that you were able to catch all of the sessions as they happened, but just in case you didn't, the recording will actually be available to all access pass holders if you want to, kind of go back and listen to any of the recordings later. And in this final closing session, I'm going to actually recap what a lot of the speakers covered, just so that it'll be a little easier for you to find something later. And then I'll also share my final thoughts in terms of things to keep in mind as you do some strategic planning and kind of revamp your plans for the rest of this year. So our very first speaker today was Johnny Quinn. He's a U.S. Olympian and former NFL player. He now owns his own business and has a speaking career and helps other folks learn to speak and handles their business needs as well. He talked a little bit this morning about his fascinating career shifts and kind of some of the ups and downs he's faced and how he's overcome those challenges. He talked about adapting and how if you don't adapt, you'll get left behind. And I think that's really relevant in today's climate with everything going on this year. So do listen to his presentation if you get a chance, and you can learn how to develop a champion mindset. You can also contact him at johnnyquinnusa.com. I did the second session today about increasing your traffic leads and conversions, regardless of the economy. And a lot of the advice that I gave in this session is actually relevant in any economy, but I tried to point out a few specifics to, the world that we're facing these days and things that you can keep in mind, particularly if maybe you're in survival mode right now, and gave you some good tips and tricks there. I also talked through some of the common funnels or conversion paths that businesses can use. So that would be, when someone goes to your website or goes to a landing page and you want to get them to convert, meaning give you their email address and their name or phone number, or otherwise raise their hand as someone of interest. There are some common funnels that people use for those kinds of conversion paths. So I kind of walked through some of them very briefly. I have a lot of additional samples about those if you want to reach out to me to kind of talk through them, figure out what's the best fit for you. And I also offered some advice about the best specific marketing tactics for your business type, whether you're a local business, B2B, or B2C. And you can reach out to me or the Flair team at flairinteractive.com. Allan was a fascinating speaker this morning. This topic is very near and dear to my heart. I have a lot of experience with marketing, but I also hold several sales certifications. And Allan and I are very much aligned in terms of thinking about modern selling as really helping. If you can shift your mindset away from pushing your product or pushing your service and more towards, just listening and helping your prospects, I guarantee your close rates will go up, your business will improve. So take a listen to his presentation if you want to learn more about that. He shares what he calls 7 secrets, 7 really good tips and some great advice there. I particularly would recommend this session to someone who is in sales or to someone who's in marketing and wants to work more closely and seamlessly with sales. This is also great for somebody who's at the C-level or maybe the president of an organization and is just trying to get those 2 departments to work together. Some really good tips in here. And you can reach Allan at, I think this is actually wrong here. It should be Allan Langer, but I'll check on that and put it in the chat. Okay, our next speaker is Dan Tyre. He is my friend and mentor. He was actually my coach and teacher in a couple of HubSpot boot camps that I had taken. Flair is a certified HubSpot partner and I hold multiple HubSpot certifications. I'm a huge fan of HubSpot. It's a fantastic tool and has lots of power built into it. Dan really didn't touch on the features of HubSpot all that much today. I'm sure he'd be happy to talk to you more about that, as would I, anytime. You can reach him at dantyre.com, but listen to his presentation for some wonderful advice about how a positive mindset can really help you, especially in this, with what we're facing right now. You can also watch it to find out if there are any alpacas in Costa Rica, and you can hear about Dan's journey and some other free resources that HubSpot is offering. And by the way, Costa Rica is one of my favorite places on earth. I went there on my honeymoon 20 years ago this year. So we are hoping to go back someday. Okay, Christina Coughlin was our next speaker, and she talked about influencer marketing. This is pretty relevant right now. We work with a number of B2C clients who use influencer marketing, but really it can be applicable to multiple kinds of businesses. And she offers a number of a few tips and some information about it, including what influencers are looking for from brands right now. She talks a little bit about which social platforms have seen growth, and she talks about the 5 biggest mistakes that marketers make when trying to work with influencers. You can reach out to Christina at gethypedmedia.com. And our next speaker was Nikki Kuhlman. She's a senior search account director at Jumpfly, a digital marketing agency located right near us here in the Chicagoland suburbs, and they specialize in paid search. So Nikki's got a lot of experience here. She's got over 17 years of experience, and she talked in depth today about everything from Google to using LinkedIn data on Microsoft's Audience Network, Google's new discovery ads, which is really exciting, and a number of other topics. So listen to Nikki's session, or you can reach out to her at jumpfly.com. Daphne Valcin was our next speaker. I'm a huge fan of Daphne. I find her presentation so incredibly empowering and motivating. It was packed with practical tips. I couldn't even decide what to put on this slide because there was so much good stuff in there. So do listen to hers if you're looking for, just kind of some ideas in terms of how to better manage your time, how to kind of find motivation on those days where you're, maybe not feeling all that motivated. Some really good practical tips about setting priorities and some other practical tips that you can use every day. And you can reach out to Daphne at daphnevalcin.com. Dr. Mark Wade was our next speaker, and he is the founder of Virtual Summits, which is what we're using to run this summit today. I first learned about Mark when he spoke at another summit a couple months ago, and his words really resonated with me. As he mentioned today, he's very passionate about helping people get their message out. And, everyone's got a message, no matter what kind of business you're in, no matter what your role, there's something important that you can share with the world. And Mark Dr. Mark helps people kind of uncover that message and implement summits. Interestingly, he also talks a little bit about in this session about human psychology, which is fitting because Mark was originally or is originally a neurologist by trade, a neurologist, and he also is an expert on virtual summits. So don't miss his session. Tim Podorf talked next about home office ergonomics and safety and some other topics that are kind of relevant in our COVID climate. His company actually does do COVID assessments and helps companies put together kind of safety plans and figure out how to work in this climate with COVID. But today he was talking about another topic that's pretty interesting to all of us who are working from home more often. I'm actually working from home right now. I've got a green screen up, so that's our office in the background, but I'm actually sitting at my dining room table right now. I personally have struggled with issues related to some of the things that he talked about today, neck pain, back pain, all of those things that affect us. I have carpal tunnel syndrome, all those things that affect us as digital marketers or business owners. When we're sitting at a computer all day long, we're sitting, maybe without the best posture. We maybe aren't using our keyboard the right way. And there are some other things in his talk that, I don't even think about. I've never even thought about. So really, really interesting talk. And I highly recommend that you listen to that and maybe even pass it along to other members of your team. So just a reminder that if you buy the All Access Pass, you'll have access to all of these recordings after today. And then, you can go back to it later and, pull out the information that you or your team need. Jody Thompson from CultureRx also spoke today. And again, I would highly recommend that you listen to Jody's talk, particularly if you are in a position where you're trying to figure out what your company is going to do as we kind of immerse ourselves back into the workforce at some point in 2020 or 2021. As everyone knows, the workforce has changed. The work environment has changed incredibly significantly in the last 2 or 3 months. And it was, completely unexpected. A lot of companies were left scrambling, trying to figure out the logistics of how to get their teams or their entire workforce to work from home. And a lot of companies are, rightfully so, worried about what the impact of that will be on their business. And Jody shares some fascinating data about how, shifting your mindset away from work being a location and, focusing more on the results of work can pay huge dividends when it comes to, benefiting your business. So don't miss her talk. She touches on a number of different things, but you can learn more at gorow.com. Joanna Ellis-Escobar is one of our digital marketing managers here at Flair, and she talked today about content. So she shared lots of good tips and tricks in here, but she touched on why planning is so important with effective content and the importance of an editorial calendar. And in fact, we actually have an editorial calendar template and as one of the bonuses for people who upgrade to the All Access Pass. So if you're interested in getting that editorial calendar and some other templates and bonuses, you can go in and upgrade now on the Summit landing page. Joanna also talked about why content optimization is imperative. It's really important to keep SEO in mind when you're writing content and creating content and even planning content. If you're trying to reach the highest number of people, you want to obviously be using keywords that people are using in the search engines to look for information and resources. So she touches on that. And she also touches on some recommendations in terms of different content formats and content types to better reach and engage your audience. And I can't overemphasize the importance of different content types and different formats. A lot of times we talk to clients and prospects and we say, well, what content have you written lately or have you created lately? And they'll say, well, we wrote a blog post. You're like, okay, what other content have you created lately? That's it. And then we start digging in a little bit and they say, well, we did a webinar last week And, the week before that, we did an infographic. And, oh, yeah, actually, we've got this tip sheet that our salespeople give to prospects. And at that point, I say, well, all of those are content. Keep in mind, content does not just mean a written article or blog post. It's all of those things that people are consuming online. So Joanna touches on a little bit of that as well. And finally, we've got my final presentation here. So I want to give you some next steps and some homework that you can complete after this summit is over. And one of the most important things that you can do is to clearly define your marketing goals and objectives. So I've listed several different types of marketing goals and objectives here. You generally don't want to have all of these. You want to pick 2 or 3, 2 or 3 per quarter, 2 or 3, maybe 2 or 3 per year. You might have a little bit more than that per year, but try to break it up by quarter or even month. And as you're thinking about your goals, you want them to be SMART goals. So what that means is they need to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. You don't want to say, our goal for this year is to increase traffic to our blog. Okay, well, if you get 1 more user this year, you've increased traffic to your blog. Are you really meeting your goal though? I don't think so. So a better way to word that would be, at the end of this month, our blog will see an 8% lift in traffic by increasing our weekly publishing frequency from 5 posts per week to 8 posts per week. Now, granted, this is just an example. This may not apply to all of you, particularly if you're just starting out. Although I would argue that everyone could and should be posting 5 to 8 times per week. I don't even do that. So make sure your goals are attainable. Make sure that they're going to be doable given your time and resources. If you have to think creatively about ways to reach those goals by adding more time or resources, certainly do so. But you want to make sure that your goals are really very specific, as you see here. And as you're thinking through your strategy, you also want to make sure that you are mapping your content, your campaign, your goals to the way that users move through the buying cycle. So you can see here, this framework here is basically the inbound marketing framework that HubSpot has, documented here. When people are first online and they have a problem and they're looking for a solution to that problem, they may not even know who you are. They may not have never heard of your product. They may not have never heard of your service or your company name. So they're not going to be searching for those things. They would be considered strangers, and they're going to be in the awareness stage there at that point. So they know they have a problem. They don't exactly know, exactly what the different options are, solutions are, or who could provide those solutions. So what you want to focus on, if you're focusing on people in the awareness stage, you want to, and you want to maybe attract traffic to your site, you'd want to be doing the things that are shown here under attract. Once those people have kind of learned a little bit about the potential solutions and they might know you're an option, you've attracted them to your site, then you kind of move into this phase where they're kind of in consideration stage. So as they're considering all of those options, you have a goal too. Your goal at that point is to convert them. So you want to convert them into, at a minimum, a marketing qualified lead. And by that, I mean, they raised their hand and they've said, I might be interested in what you do. So if you have their phone number, I'm sorry, if you have their name and their email address or their phone number at that point, you could certainly continue to market them and try to get them to convert into fully sales qualified leads, because you can have marketing qualified leads and sales qualified leads. Marketing qualified leads need nurturing, and you can do that in the form of the things that you see listed here. Calls to action, like buttons that say, register now, request a demo. Sometimes you'll see, little widgets, CTA boxes in the sidebar of a website. Those would also be calls to action. Calls to action can take many different forms. You can have a call to action in an email. You can have a call to action at the bottom of a blog post, and numerous other places. So if you're focusing your digital marketing efforts on people who are in that consideration stage, and your goal is to convert them, you want to focus on these things here: calls to action, landing pages, forms, and contacts. And if you're doing those things already and you're not getting as many leads as you'd like, you want to optimize the ones that you do have. So once you've got leads and they're in the consideration stage, they're talking to a salesperson already, they are very interested in your product or service, and they're comparing you to other, you're on their short list. They're comparing you to other options. At that point, you can still continue to nurture them with marketing emails. You also will likely have a salesperson involved at that point. This is a fantastic time to do things like emails, automated workflows or automation. So you can do that in something like HubSpot or ActiveCampaign. We're big fans of both of those platforms. There are a number of other platforms out there that you can do that with, but the gist of it is you want to try to automate some of that outreach and nurturing so that it's not as much work for your salespeople and your marketing folks. And there's ways to do that where you kind of set it up once and then forget it. And then you basically have 24/7 salespeople or the sales tool working for you online in the form of automated emails that are going out, or some other things that can happen automatically. You also want to focus on lead scoring, so you're only your salespeople are spending most of their time on the highest qualified leads. And you also should take a look at CRM integrations to make sure that your marketing and your sales teams and assets are working together very closely. And then finally, after you've closed, you're in a good place, you're happy, you've gotten some new business, you have a new client, a new customer. You don't want to stop there, because it's really important that you continue to delight your customers. Your customers are your best salespeople. If you have a really happy customer, they will talk about it. If you have a really unhappy customer, they will talk about it even more. So make sure that you don't drop the ball and forget about ways that you can nurture and continue to have a good relationship with those current customers. And you can do that using all of the tactics shown here. Emails, again, some automated workflows, social media, and smart calls to action. So next steps and homework. I have listed out some homework here for you. If you have the All Access Pass, you'll get this DAC copy of the PDF. If you don't and you want a copy of it, let me know and I can send it to you via email. But I've listed some action items for you with due dates. Don't drop the ball on this, because most people who listen to a presentation take notes, file it away, walk away, and never do anything with it. So don't do that. So your first action item is to define your SMART goals for the remainder of 2020 by June 26th. That's not a ton of time, but it's also not, it's still doable. It's not unreasonable. This is your business you're talking about. This is the success of your marketing program that you're talking about. So, set aside an hour, maybe 2 hours. If you have to do a conference call with some other folks on your team, if you have a team, do that. But put something down on paper. It's okay if you, maybe, don't reach all of them 100% this quarter or this year. It's okay if, maybe you take on too much the first time you do this. The important thing is to do it. Do it at a minimum every quarter. And, obviously at least once a year. Usually my annual SMART goals that we do for clients, we then break down into smaller quarterly and monthly goals. Okay, your next action item by July 10th is to document 1 or 2 of your audience's specific pain points and challenges in each stage of the buyer's journey. So this would be the awareness stage, the consideration stage, and the decision stage. What are 1 or 2 of the specific pain points and challenges that they tackle with at each of those stages? And then coming out of that, determine the products or services that you have to solve each of those pain points. The third part's easy. Once you've got that groundwork laid, it becomes much, much easier to go back and map your content, your tactics, and your campaigns to those pain points and offerings. And the reason for that is when you have clearly outlined the top 1 to 2 pain points for each of those 3 stages, all of the other ones fall off the radar. You want to document, you want to identify the 1 or 2 pain points that you have the best solutions for, and that are also going to benefit your business. I mean, you're in business, to reach your own business goals, and you might be able to help them with 100 things, but if 98 of those things really don't pertain to you or don't help you in any way, then you just don't want to waste your time and energy there. So document 1 to 2 for each of those 3 phases, map your content and tactics and campaigns to those, and just kind of put the other ones out of your mind. This will also help you identify marketing campaigns, because as I had mentioned in one of my earlier presentations, you really want to ideally have 1 focused marketing campaign running each month. You can do more than that if you have the time and resources, but at a minimum you want to have 1. So this exercise that I'm asking you to do here will help you figure out which marketing campaigns to focus on. And it might even be something as easy as in July, we're going to run a marketing campaign for request a demo. You might already have a request a demo page on your site with a form on it. You might already have CTAs for that. You might already have case studies that would be helpful for people to make that decision. You might have blog posts that are related to that. You might have videos showing a short snippet of a demo. Use all of those content assets that you already have, and just put it together in 1 concerted, cohesive campaign, and make sure that you get out and promote that on a more focused basis. Again, Joanna talked about an editorial calendar in her session, and if you have the All Access Pass, you'll get a copy of that editorial calendar template. But we'd also be happy to jump on the phone with you and kind of walk through all of this with you in a little more detail to kind of guide you in terms of what you need to do. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you had a great time at the summit, and let us know if you need any help. Thanks.